Hey everybody, we're here at the premiere of Lakota Nation versus the United States, an IFC film. We're going to have some really great conversations with people and some very big surprise guests coming soon. So thanks for watching Breezeway Productions. We're here at the Lakota Nation versus United States premiere, speaking with
Jesse Shortball.
Hey Jesse, nice to meet you. So you're one of the directors on this film. Tell me about what directing this film means to you.
It means a lot to me because it centers on history that hasn't really been shared amongst the United States as a whole. It does feature some history that's a little troublesome, but it's the truth. The truth is close that I could get it. And I want people to know because I have relatives, I have friends, family who have ties to this land for thousands of years. And I still believe that we need to preserve that integrity of that relationship between the Oceti-Sakowing tribes and the land on the Great Plains and the Black Hills of South Dakota.
What do you hope audiences can take away from the film after they've seen it?
If nothing else, I want people to feel good about themselves. This is a movie that we wanted to be positive. So yeah, there is some difficult history, but at the end of the day, I want people to know that we have a great amount of tribal members who are very heroic, and that can relate to them as well because we want people to feel good, and feeling good and having the land is a good thing.
Speaking with
Laura Tomaselli.
Nice to meet you. Tell me about your role in the project.
I am the editor and the co-director of the project alongside Jesse Shortball.
We'll be here hopefully momentarily.
Wonderful. So I was able to watch the film and check it out before attending the premiere, and I was curious to know about how did you two work together as co-directors? Who did what to help make this film complete?
We're an interesting but kind of perfectly matched pair. I am sort of a yappy, crazy little Italian woman, but he is a very stable, healing, beautiful person to talk to. So in terms of, he is the heart of this project. I feel like I am like the hands in terms of editing it, but and that's sort of how our partnership worked out.
Did you feel like you learned anything after you put together the film about the history? Because I think it was pretty revealing.
What did I not learn, I think, about the history? I think everything in this film is stuff that has either been deliberately hidden from us or not taught to us purposefully. And so I think I learned a couple things, but our goal is to obviously teach a lot of other people stuff they've never learned.
And if, in your own words, how can you describe this film to audiences?
I think it's a look at the colonization of America, or Turtle Island, through the lens of the Lakota people.
So tell me about your involvement in this project.
I'm an EP, executive producer that came on early on to help lift up this story and use my platform to get it out in the world.
So what about this subject matter intrigued you to want to be a part of it?
Well, as I became closer to my native friends and family, you start to hear another history of America that doesn't really jibe with the one that we've all been taught. Yeah. And this is a chance for people to, get the full story and get the other side of the story. The one thing that people forget is Custer's, Custer was beaten. This is the only army that's ever beaten the Americans, and they were protecting themselves from genocide, Yeah. But for some reason, the story has been told by the actual losers instead of the winners. Yeah. And this talks about, the sacred place, which is, the Black Hills, and that is their Jerusalem, that is their creation story comes from there. Yeah. And it talks about the treaties and how they've been trampled on, and it's just this alternative, honest telling of the history.
Sure. I know there's a big part of the film that talks about Hollywood and Native Americans and how they're displayed on screen, and it showcases The Searchers and a lot of other films. There's going to be a couple of films that are coming out, like Killers of the Flower Moon, which showcases some of America's history. What are your thoughts about how Hollywood is portraying the Native Americans as it's going forward? Is there any improvement? Are things getting better?
Well, I think just the fact that there's Native storytellers now, the fact that Jesse is telling his own story. Taika Waititi, it's the fact that we're these people are telling their stories. It means so much, because what we've been fed for decades is propaganda. It was a way to delegitimize the personhood of the American Native, and so now I know that Marty's film, went through a big transformation, and started one way, and then the natives, the family got involved, and you heard the other side of the story, and that's what we're going to see now. That's not the same story as that book,
right?
And that's a consciousness that's been developed probably over since Standing Rock, really.
Sure.
I mean, Standing Rock changed the world. It changed the way people saw Native people. It changed the way Native people saw themselves in this whole dynamic.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for your words, and thank you for using your platform for good and awareness. Speaking with
Kathryn Everett.
Nice to meet you, Kathryn. Tell me about your involvement in the project.
I'm an executive producer on the film. My company XTR is the co-producer of the project.
Tell me how this project ended up on your desk.
It really came just from a conversation with Laura, Ben, and Jesse, the producer and the two co-directors. And we're really passionate about the land back movement at our company, and we just knew that as soon as we heard about the project that we had to be a part of it. So we've been with them since day one, and so excited for the film to be premiering.
What's the one thing that you really loved about working on this film?
I think just that the whole process has been so hopeful. There's so much support for the movement, and we really think that the film can be a powerful tool to assist in the land back movement and make sure that the Black Hills are returned.
Speaking with
Amber, Morning Star Byars.
Nice to meet you, Amber. Tell me a little bit about your involvement in the project.
So I'm the impact producer for the film, so I help out with the impact campaign.
Okay. Could you tell me a little bit about what an impact producer does when it comes to the campaign?
Sure. We essentially get the film seen by which audience the producers and the executive producers want the film seen by. We, in order to properly run the impact campaign, we want to make sure that certain audiences are viewing the film and that it's creating some kind of community, societal impact.
Okay. So for this film, Lakota Nation versus United States, what do you hope that audiences would take away from the film after they've seen it?
Well, we want folks to know the accurate history of this country. We want folks to know that, the Western narrative that folks have been taught in schools, or, actually a lack of education that folks get in public schools in the United States is incorrect. It's inclusive. It's exclusive of the Native American perspective, and we hope that this film will help educate folks on not only the history of this country, but also the current movement for the Black Hills, among many others that Indigenous peoples all over the country are fighting for. So,
speaking with
Bill de Blasio.
Charlene McRae.
Well, nice to meet you both. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak. So tell me, Mr. de Blasio, what's the reason for coming out to support Lakota Nation versus the United States?
I think we have to get this history clear in our minds, and we've been told something that's not the truth, and I really admire folks who are trying to give us the truth. Mark Ruffalo is someone I've worked with in activism for a long time, and it, to me, is very moving that you could just give up on a topic like this and just accept the conventional wisdom, but everyone involved in this film says, no, we're going to show people what really happened, and hopefully that's going to lead to real change.
What are you most excited for watching the film?
Oh, just hearing the voices of the people. It's a story, a powerful story, too long untold, and I really appreciate everyone who participated in making this happen.
Okay. And I have to throw in one question about New York City. I'm just curious to see, how do you think things are going, and is there anything that you would do differently for New York City?
Well, I'm not going to talk about anything differently, but I will say, no, I really am moved by the fact that New Yorkers have shown unbelievable resilience. We are, so far back now in terms of our recovery from COVID. We're not all the way there, but we're really, really a lot farther than anyone could have expected, and that's because of New Yorkers.
Speaking with
Sarah Eagleheart.
Nice to meet you, Sarah Eagleheart. Tell me a little bit about your role in the project.
I'm an executive producer on the film for Lakota Nation versus United States.
Okay. Tell me about how this project came to you.
Well, the Black Hills of South Dakota is the birthplace of the Oglala Lakota, and I grew up on the reservation in South Dakota. And so when my really good friend, Jesse Shortball, came and asked if I would be an executive producer, I said yes, with caution, because it's such an important story to tell. And it's very political. If you know history, if you know our tribes, there's many tribes involved with the history of the Black Hills and sort of the justice for it. And so saying yes meant a lot for me personally and anybody that takes part in it, because you want to make sure that the portrayal of the story is done accurately and done in a balanced way. So I said yes because I absolutely have trust in Jesse and also the other co-director, Laura Tomaselli, and the production team.
Do you believe that this film should be screened in colleges, in schools, and things like that, so people can understand the history?
Absolutely. If you know anything about our history of schools and textbooks, you know that there's never an accurate history told in any of the schools whatsoever, and definitely not in South Dakota. It's been something that's been erased, and if you look at the propaganda, not only in textbooks, but also within Hollywood, an accurate version of the story has never been told. And that's why it's so important for this film today, because it's being told from a Lakota perspective. It's being told from our lens, which has been very oral. It's been an oral history that has not been shared. Most of the textbooks out there are done by white males. So it's just time for us to tell it from our perspective and to tell exactly step by step. No, this is what happened to our people, and it was illegal, and we deserve justice, and we deserve our land back.